on, beautiful people? Welcome to Funnelheads. Today we're going to be talking about 20 tips for your upcoming vacation. Hopefully you're as excited about your cruise as I am talking about it. Consider subscribing if it's your first time to the channel, becoming part of that Funnelhead family. We'd love to have you. Of course, liking and commenting would be much appreciated as well. The more you like and comment, the more excited I get and the more videos that I make, and they will only get better, I promise. But let's get it kicked off with number one. Just very simple but very important. Please bring the proper documentation with you. Make sure it's on your person. Pockets, backpack, carry-on, however you carry that is good to go. Just double, triple check that you have it. You definitely check the cruise line that you're traveling with to make sure you have the right documentation, because that definitely changes over time. And also make sure you don't put that in your checked bags, and make sure you don't leave home without it. Make sure that before you leave home and you get to the airport or go on that long car ride, you have it with you at all times. Number two, this is one that I really try to do all the time. Obviously, it depends on your schedule, especially with work and things of that nature, but always try to arrive the day before your cruise is scheduled to depart. Not only do things happen, whether you have cancellation flights, accidents, delays, who knows, things happen. Just give yourself that little bit of buffer room. But the more fun reason why I do it especially, is because you get to start vacation one day early. Who doesn't love that? I know I do. You get to, get to the location, relax a little bit because you're there, vacation's upon you. You have some drinks, have some food, relax in the hotel, sleep in a little bit, and wait for everybody to get off of your ship. That's right, it's your ship because it is your vacation now and they are home. The day of misery. So that's what I always love to do. Number three, bring a small amount of cash. This is just going to dictate from person to person, but a little bit of cash never hurts to have, especially in small bills. Whether you're tipping, you buy souvenirs in the Caribbean or whatnot, or any destination. Obviously, cash is always easier. Not only that, some locations you can still negotiate a little bit as well if you have cash. So, and also in emergencies, just in case, you never know. It's always good to have a little bit on you. Number four, prepay for as much as possible before your vacation, whether it's, your shore excursions, if you do any type of spa treatments, if that's your thing, decorating your cabins, drink packages, whether it be, soda, juice, alcohol drinks, all that. Obviously, the budget's going to dictate with this one, but I promise the more you can get paid off before your cruise, the better time you're going to have, because obviously you're not going to be worrying about money you're spending, and you can relax just a little bit more. So even if it's not like all of the above, plus there's many more that I didn't mention, but just try to pay for as much as you can before. Number five, this one I am guilty of all the time, and it is just pack less. I always pack way too much. If you think you're going to need it, you probably don't. Just leave it at home. I promise you don't need 32 pairs of jeans, 19 pairs of socks, and 43 dresses for a cruise that's 7 days. You're just not going to need it. You don't want to be carrying around that. The cabins are pretty small as far as on the average, and there's not a lot of storage space. So just leave it at home. I promise you'll appreciate that more if you do. Number six, this is kind of ironic because it's the exact opposite of number five, but there is one item that you probably are not going to bring enough of, and that's bathing suits. Especially if you're going somewhere that's hot, humid, Caribbean, you're going to be in your bathing suit. If you're like me, probably 90% of the time, whether it's, in the pool, in the hot tubs, listening to music, dancing, having a couple drinks or whatnot, you're going to be in it all day, and it's not going to get a chance to dry out, especially when you're waking up the next morning to probably do the same thing, and nobody likes putting on a wet bathing suit. So just bring, if you're going on a 7-day trip, bring a handful. That's one of those items that it doesn't take up a lot of space, and you'll be happy that you did. Number 7, make sure you're bringing all of your important medications, medicine in general, whether it's like cold medicine or if you happen to get seasick, whatever makes you feel better. It's different for everybody. Any type of sunscreen, aloe, make sure you have all of that. I promise you do not want to go to the cruise ship shop, because you will pay 1 arm and a half a leg for a little bit of sunscreen like this big. So definitely make sure you have enough of that on you, and it's really not even that much less in like on the islands or at destinations, because they always jack those prices up as well. So don't think that if you forgot something, you can just get it while you're ashore, because you'll probably still pay about the same amount, unfortunately. Number 8, carry on either like a little small carry-on bag or a backpack or something. Just make sure that you have everything that you need for the first few hours. I would say for the first 4 hours of your trip, your suitcase rather, your check bags aren't going to get to your cabin typically until about dinner time. Sometimes you can get a little bit earlier if you're lucky, but a lot of times there's been times that I haven't got it until after dinner, which it's not a problem. But if there's something you need specifically, or if you want to change out of clothes and maybe change into a bathing suit, it's a good idea to just have it in your carry-on bag. Like I said, whatever you need for the first 4 hours really does the trick. So try to do that as you can. Number 9, safety. It's got to be said. It's kind of common sense, but there's definitely the muster station drill where you got to pay attention in case there is an emergency. You got to know where you go, what your number is and what side of the ship you're on for that drill. Also, just walking around, especially on the top decks and the lower decks where there's outside area. Obviously, if it rains, it's wet. A lot of times they're cleaning, and it can be wet as well. And then the wind really starts picking up, especially when you're out at sea. So just make sure, obviously, for doors and things of that nature. So real simple, but needs to be said, unfortunately. Number 10, try to familiarize yourself with the ship before you're sailing. This one's a little hard, but it can be done, somewhat. Obviously you have the different websites for the cruise lines, and you can see the deck plans ahead of schedule. It's kind of hard to imagine them, but you can kind of see like the areas that are important to you ahead of time. And also, excuse me. Hi. Had a tickle in my throat. You can see a lot of the different venues ahead of time, so that way you can familiarize yourself with that area of the ship. And then also you can a lot of times see your cabin ahead of time, especially if it's not a brand new ship. If it's a little bit older, there's a lot of videos online, YouTube obviously, and there's some other ones that you can see inside of your cabin. They're all set up a little bit differently, so it gives you a good idea of how it's laid out, and also where you can put stuff ahead of time if you need to buy any type of like shoe holders or things to make some extra space. It may not be a bad idea. So number 11, get lost. It's kind of another ironic one. It's complete opposite of the last one, but getting lost is probably my favorite thing on the cruise ship. You walk in, and I still get wowed, to this day, especially in the atrium, the lobby. You enter in, you get chills. It's usually big, massive. There's colors coming at you. The crew's there to meet you and mingle with you for the first day. You got music going, but not only that, you get lost with your cabin. It's going to take you, especially if you're cruising for the first time, or it's a ship that you haven't been on before, you're going to get lost going to your cabin. You're going to be on the wrong side of the ship, the first 3 or 4 times trying to find your room. But that's half the fun. I mean, you get to find the little nooks and the kind of quieter areas the more you get lost, and you can really see the ship in its entirety. And it's really just impressive to see how big it is if you go, from the bottom to the top and, front to aft, just trying to search everything out. It's awesome time. So definitely have some fun doing that. Number 12, I would say if you're going to prepay for anything, it should be shore excursions, or if you're not in the Caribbean, just excursions in general. I can't talk, because they do sell out very quickly, especially ones that are either A, limited in quantity, or B, it's just a super popular, highly rated tour. They get sold out fast, and the last thing you want to do is, looking forward to something that you've wanted to do for a long time. You get on the ship and then it's already sold out like day 1 or day 2. That's the worst. And like I said, if you prepay it beforehand, that makes half the battle easier, not only not having it be sold out, but also paying for it ahead of time as well. Number 13, this one we've done quite a few times, and it's basically if you've been to a location several times before, or perhaps you did wait and there was no tours that you wanted to do, or maybe there's just no tours in general that you wanted to do. That happens too. Consider staying on the ship. It's actually amazing. Like I said, we've done it a couple times in the Bahamas, especially because we have been there a few times, and there's nothing better than everybody. 95% of the people that are traveling with you on the ship, I get off at that destination, and you kind of have the ship almost to yourself. And the staff is obviously there as well, and they kind of wait on you hand and foot, and it's really just a relaxing day. You got the pool basically by yourself, the bar, you can get food very easily. So it's definitely one of those days where if there's not a lot going on as far as off the ship that you really are interested in, stay on it. It's been some of the best days at sea, that me and my wife had. So definitely give it a think. Number 14, get to know the staff. Staff are amazing. They're there obviously to help you and kind of wait on you hand and foot. And they some of the best people that I've met are the staff. They have great stories, great tips and advice as well. They kind of open up to you, especially if you go back to the same person or whatnot. And there's cruises that I've taken just because I knew there was going to be certain staff on board from a prior cruise, and there's a lot of people that I still keep up with to this day, after 10 years of a lot more than 10 years, but in the last 10 years of meeting, and we still talk through Facebook and messaging and all that good stuff. So definitely get to know them if you can, and you'll be happy you did for sure. Number 15, and this kind of goes hand in hand with getting to know the staff, but if a staff member kind of goes above and beyond for you, I definitely would obviously get their name, where they're from, and where they work on the ship, even though that could be hard because a lot of the staff do work in several locations throughout the day. But if you can even keep the receipt, if obviously they served you something and you paid for it or whatnot, their name will be on that receipt. But if you recognize them at the end of the ship, I mean, obviously you can tip them if you want to, if they went above and beyond. But not only that, but if you just fill out the survey after the cruise, that really helps them kind of moving forward. It does get them promoted, and they love reading comments from past guests on how they helped, how they made that guest's day or whatnot, and it makes their day as well, especially being away from their family for so long, 3, 6, 9 months, and a nice comment like that will really help their help their day or their week or whatnot. So number 16, another important one, just make sure you call all your credit cards, your bank, your cell phone carrier, just to let them know, hey, I'm going on, a cruise. I'll be, in XYZ destinations. Please don't shut off or lock my items. Obviously, it's a little bit easier if you forget nowadays because, there is internet access and it's easier to use a phone than it was, 8-10 years ago. But it's less of a hassle just to do it beforehand, and obviously you won't rack up those additional charges as well. And also, if you aren't planning to use your phone or internet, just go ahead and put your phone in airplane mode so that way you can still use and turn your data off. But you can still use, obviously, your camera, your video, and any music and things of that nature that you downloaded. So, number 17, if you need something, ask. Not only that doesn't just go to the crew, but also, if there's not a crew member around, and there's a ton of people that have cruised quite a bit, and everybody loves helping everybody on cruises, which is also the great thing. Everybody's in it together. So, if there's not a crew member around, then just ask another guest, and if they don't know, the person right next to them probably will. So definitely just ask if you need advice, if you need something. That's definitely the way to go. Number 18, try to join a group before you travel. There's a couple apps that are good for that, like Shipmate is a good app, and then also obviously like Facebook groups. Just search basically the week that you leave and the ship, and you can type it right into Facebook. You can join it early. Everybody's excited in there, looking forward to the cruises. Even if it's like a year in advance, there's a lot of groups that are already created for those dates, and everybody can start talking beforehand. Like I said, everybody gets excited. There's a lot of events that usually people create, whether it's like bar crawls or cigars under the stars, or there's tons of different events that people create. So you can start planning, start joining those, and it really gets you can start like talking and meeting people before you travel, which is awesome. It's something that we couldn't do like I said 8-10 years ago, that just really wasn't around. So it's an awesome idea to get the vacation started early. 19, this is probably the best one that I kind of live by, is just do as much as possible. Obviously, it's a cruise, it's vacation, it is supposed to be relaxing, but the best stories in life are the ones where you try something new, you're a little nervous, maybe even scared, but great stories don't come from, I was just doing something ordinary like I always do. It's always you getting out of your element, mixing it up, meeting new people, trying new things. I mean, for example, I'm petrified of heights, but I was on a cruise. I knew eventually I was going to skydive, on a bucket list, and I was with my wife, my friends. They all wanted to do. I'm sweating just even talking about it. It's ridiculous. But anyway, I knew I wanted to do it eventually, and I did it. I got out of my element, and it was amazing. I'll never do it again. I'm probably not going to sleep tonight because now I'm all hyped up just thinking about that. But anyway, it doesn't have to be that crazy, but do something you've never tried before, never done. Get lost, meet people, talk to strangers. It's the best thing about cruises. Everybody leaves together, on this trip for the same amount of days, the same locations. You're all there together in the beginning, you're all there together at the end, and a lot of times people say, I'll never see this person again. That is not the case whatsoever. I met my wife on a cruise almost 13 years ago, coming up in a couple months, and it's been amazing. We're cruise buddies for life, and I wouldn't change anything, and if it wasn't for cruising, it would I don't know what I would be doing with my life, but I kind of got off on a tangent there. But definitely try as much as possible, and I promise you won't regret it. At number 20, last but not least, basically just make sure you have some type of trip plan before your cruise ends. I don't care if it's just a little getaway weekend, a cross-country trip, a wedding in a certain destination, another cruise, which is of course preferable, all-inclusive, whatever it is, have something to look forward to, because I promise you there's this thing called post-cruise blues. It happens to me about the second to last day. Doesn't matter how long the cruise is. You start getting a little sad that the trip is over, a little depressed. You got to get back to work, back to reality. No more relaxing, no more drinking by the pool, and of course, you're not going to see hopefully the friends that you're with or the people that you met on the ship. But if you have something to look forward to, if you have that continued countdown, it makes it that much easier. So definitely try to do that, if you can, even if it's like a year out. If it's even farther than that, it's something to look forward to, and that's the key. Well, that's it for today. It was just 20 tips, no particular order, no ranking, nothing like that. We'll have more in the future, I'm sure. Hopefully it helped you out a little bit, gave you a little bit of information. Again, if you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing, becoming part of that Funnelhead family, and I hope to see you right back here in another video, or perhaps on a cruise ship one day. Keep on cruising on. Catch you later.